Welcome back to Intentional Excellence, Elevate Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Candice Ruggiero. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a podcast and live show host, educator, and entrepreneur. This episode marks the conclusion of our powerful series for the month, Purpose Driven Men Making a Difference. Throughout this series, we've had the privilege of meeting incredible men who are truly making an impact in their personal and professional lives. And today, we are closing it out with an extraordinary guest from London, someone who embodies purpose, resilience, and transformation. He is Andrew Williams. Andrew is a dedicated life coach with a passion for confidence building and personal transformation. His early career was within the IT industry, working in the financial sector for companies like Goldman Sachs, HSBC, and Lloyd's Banking Group. Over the years, Andrew has gained extensive experience guiding individuals through challenging emotional landscapes, developing an empathetic and results driven approach that empowers his clients to embrace their true potential. Andrew's mission is to help individuals overcome self doubt, build unshakable confidence, and unlock the life they've always envisioned. His passion extends beyond coaching as he dedicates time to spreading knowledge to those seeking personal growth and volunteering for social change in his community. To my viewers, help me welcome Andrew Williams to the show. Hi, Andrew.
Hi. Hi, Candice.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And thank you for such a beautiful introduction as well.
I'm privileged to say that about you, and I'm just honored to have you in my show. How is it in London? Tell me briefly about like the weather, anything new? What's up? What's up there?
It's not the beautifulest of days today. It's raining, but that's typical for London, unfortunately, at this time of year. But
Right. Uh-huh. Right now it's
I've
winter
made it
here.
out to the park today, so it's not all bad.
That's good. That's good. Well, I am honored. You're my very first guest from London. So I am super excited. Just hearing your accent, love it. I love it. Andrew, did I forget anything? Did I miss anything? Do you have any other things that you want to share with the community?
I think you actually summed me up really, really well. Just again, it's a pleasure to be here with you and your community. And yeah, like
Likewise. Likewise. So let's start. Okay, let's go. All right. So, Andrew, this part of the show, I like talking about intentionality because my podcast is all about intentionality, intentional excellence. So, let's talk about one of your projects. You're building confidence. And we know that confidence is often rooted in intentional actions and decisions. Your coaching focuses on helping clients overcome self doubt, which I love, and build a solid foundation of self belief. Now, Andrew, how do you guide your clients to build confidence intentionally? And perhaps you can share what are some key habits or practices you recommend for maintaining that confidence over time?
Yes, so I'm happy to talk about that. I could be talking about this all day. But I'll just start by saying that in terms of the way that I coach it in what I deem to be the purest form of coaching, which is never really to be overly leading anyone anywhere. Within you, you have all the tools you need to be the person that you want to be. I'm more about asking those questions that maybe you're not willing to ask yourself right now and get to those key values that you have within. I feel that, and I talk about this from personal experience when I've lacked confidence, is that sometimes I might be aiming for things that don't align with my true values. And that's where you might get lost and you might get that overwhelm or worse, that nagging self-doubt, that voice. And it doesn't always sound like your voice, but it's someone that's telling you maybe you're not going to make it. So in terms of the way that I coach, I will listen to where you want to be and then align that to your values. And when you sort of say like, intentionality, we'll start off by actually saying, what are the reasons behind what you want to achieve? And if it's just confidence, what are your reasons for wanting this confidence? Let's make sure that we know what it is that you want and why you want it, and we can make sure that we can build the habits, and that's what you're going to lean on to. But in those days when things are going well, that's all great and you can always be confident. It's those days where you don't want to get out of bed, or you have that feeling at the pit of your stomach, and you need to have that intentionality that you're talking about, and those reasons to lean on. That's what's going to get you out. That's what's going to drive you onwards. And I for me personally, confidence comes with repetition. I am one of those people that through doing, you'll continually become more confident with what you're doing. So when I'm coaching with you, we're going to start off small. We'll put in a few things and you'll build your confidence over time until we're scaling that mountain. And
Yes.
when we look back on it, it will barely look like a hill.
Now, Andrew, yes, we're talking about confidence, and I love what you're doing. Can you briefly share with our viewers what is it exactly you're doing? Like, what is your group? Who are you catering to? How do they find you? Just a brief overview of your coaching business or coaching career.
Sure. So to begin with, I was actually starting out within IT, so working with my own teams, and
Okay.
they were based across various countries across the UK. Then it became Europe, and then across India. And at that point, it was people that were maybe a bit disillusioned with their career, a little bit disillusioned within their teams. Specifically, what was coming up a lot was career and leadership. And I
Okay.
think that's really important, even in today. Like, it's not just within companies. I think leadership comes in all forms.
Yes. Agree.
So I like to work with people that if it's not building that confidence within your team to speak up and be heard, but also sometimes you can be working for a company and you're just doing a standard 9 to 5, but it doesn't align with your values.
Yes.
So if it's the confidence to either move within that company or to find a company that works for you, so finding those values. And yes, I work with clients on that scale, but I also work with clients that maybe aren't nothing to do with career, but actually it's to do with your personal alignment with what's happening in your
Okay.
personal life and those relationships. So those are the people that I work with, and in terms of how we go about that, as I said, although it's the purest form, I do have a few CBT techniques. I also work
Okay.
with personality modeling as well, and that doesn't mean that as soon as you're filling a personality model, that's who you are.
Okay.
That's just a snapshot on that particular moment, on that particular experience. And I just want to make that clear because I think everyone kind of gets bogged down by, oh, I'm now this model and that's how I should act. Everyone is completely different and everyone's
Yes.
unique. And just because I have these techniques and models, the purest form is making sure that you're listening and asking the right
Your
questions for
values.
you right then.
And I do agree with you that anyone can go through struggles when it comes to find aligning themselves with their values. And it's really truly important for sometimes you need support. You need somebody to help you find your value because nowadays, Andrew, it's so, let's face it, the society nowadays are full of temptation, full of chaos, full of uncertainty. And sometimes we live day to day. We have to wake up every day, go to work, tend to our family, but and sometimes we lose ourselves in the process. And what gets affected is your professional and personal life. And once you lose yourself in the process, then you're more susceptible to like failure or poor self-confidence and self-doubt. And I like that sometimes people should realize that sometimes you need help. You need to stop, pause, and say, hey, this is not me anymore. I need help. And it's businesses like yours, it's or coaching expertise like yours that are very much needed right now because we just want to find our authentic selves in the process, whoever you are. And I also agree with what you said that leadership comes in many forms. You can be a leader in your own right, in your own life, in your own profession. You can be leading your family. You can be
Yes.
leading your colleague, you can be leading a community, and wherever you are, you need that self-confidence. For you to lead, people look up to you. And without that self-confidence, if you still have that self-doubt in you, how do you expect people to believe in you? Right?
Yes, I completely agree. I completely
And
agree with you. And as I said, you've literally taken the words out of my mouth. It's just you can be a leader at any level, and sometimes you can be put in that position and not even know that you're doing it.
yes,
But yes, and I agree that that self doubt can come from anywhere. And
yes,
I think personally, in growing up, I nothing against my upbringing because it's brought me here, but I was actually brought up that you kind of do everything for yourself and no one's going to help you. But that's
yes.
not the world we're living in. We get nowhere without each other. We get so much further by utilizing the people around us, our friends, our family, our network. And I think that nagging voice in the back of your head can tell you that you can't be asking for help, but you can. And I think
You can.
the first step to getting that confidence is taking that first step. It's the hardest step, I
It
believe.
is.
But once you do, when you look back on it, it's not that hard at all, and everyone's actually willing to listen to you.
And let me reflect on what you just said. The first step, on top of what you said, I'm going to say the first step also is admitting that there's something wrong. Admitting, and that's not a failure. And asking for help is not a failure. It's actually a strength for you to say that I need help. That is confidence. That is like you wanting a change in your life and you're open to change. So don't be afraid to ask, don't be afraid to seek for help because you're not alone. You have to know that I'm not alone. We are here to support each other, and if you can find that one support, believe me, that can totally change your life. I believe that.
I completely agree. I love that as well. Like it's one thing I love about these communities is they facilitate that growth, and
Right.
it's as you said that confidence. Like that is the first step to seeing that you want the change.
Yes.
Wanting it is the first part, but and it's as you said, like to have the confidence to see that self reflection, which it's so important.
It's big. It's big in itself. Because some people, you talk about you growing up, childhood trauma exists, and there are some people who still are so caught up with this is how I was brought up. But I hope that everybody has this growth mindset, that it's okay to keep learning and to keep moving and let go of the past. Yes, sometimes it will trigger you, but I hope that you can equip yourself with tools in order to kind of prevent it from damaging you. Like you can use it to inspire you. Like I was like this before, but I hope that we like what you said, you can help people build that confidence that whenever that trauma comes back in my head and starts to trigger me, like I will have the tools to like fight it. You know what I mean? That is
Yes,
such a
I
great.
completely and it's what you said there that I'll pick up on. It's not about fighting it. It's
Yeah.
accepting it,
Yes.
and it's knowing that it's there, but knowing that you're going to use that for the right reasons. And
Yeah. If you have to measure it, this is where I was before. Here am I now because of that mindset that you're willing to just keep learning and keep growing. I
yes,
love it. Thank you. Andrew, like your response really resonated with me. And it reminds me of my journey into motivational speaking. We don't really know each other. Just wanted to let you know that I'm new in the industry. I just started maybe 6 months ago from a 30-year career in field of education. All right. So like I am in the leadership, suppose I'm in the leadership role, supposed to be, but I made a big drastic move to change my career because like what you said, leadership comes in many forms and I wanted to lead outside the four walls of the school. But when I first started, I want to be honest with you, Andrew, I had to be extremely intentional about how I showed up, whether it was in front of the camera or on stage or even small interactions, because early on, I had that self-doubt. It's not easy. Like, yes, I've been speaking all my life because I was a teacher. I used to own schools in the Philippines, so I had that, confidence in me. But moving to another career kind of made me self-doubt, right? Like, am I good enough? Can I actually speak in front of like a crowd, and would they even listen to me? So I made a commitment to myself. What is important, like what I'm going back to what you said, make sure that you're talking aligned to your values. because that's when you get the confidence, if you're really speaking from your heart, speaking from your experiences, and speaking from your alignment, like your values in life. So every word I share must serve a purpose. I don't know if hopefully you can check out my social media, because I'll be sharing this all over multiple pages. I do quotes, I do videos, I do messages daily because I show up, but intentionally. I show up intentionally. I just don't post for the sake of posting. I really pay attention to, like, how is my viewer going to resonate with my message? How am I going to present my authentic self through my message? It could be a simple quote, but I make it my own. And all my messages, Andrew, are rooted in real life experiences and insights that really, truly help others. And I know that's one of the topics that we're going to talk about with you, because you're also big with making an impact. But I just wanted to say that, everybody will have doubts in their life at some point. But just be intentional. And I like what you said, align with your values. That will really help you step out of your comfort zone, or
Yes.
at least remove that self-doubt in you,
Yes, I
right?
think that was really beautiful. How you've literally summed up exactly what I was saying within your journey, which is amazing. And I
It's not easy. Like,
no,
every journey is hard,
yeah,
you
very.
know.
And I think the one thing I'd want to take from that, just to mention to your viewers, is that there's nothing wrong with having that self doubt. Like, that is your body's defense mechanism that's
Yes.
trying to, like, ultimately save you from what it thinks is danger. But that's only because it's the danger of the unknown, because you haven't done it yet. It's no longer your comfort zone. Once you start doing it enough, it will become your comfort zone.
Yes.
So it's very much accepting that voice and saying, "Thank you, I hear you, but I'm just going to do it this way, and then we'll see
Yes.
where we go."
And honestly, after getting all the, let's say, coaching that you get or support that you need, in the end, it's your choice, it's your action, it's your answer to your self doubt. So just be open to support and changes. That's how I take from this. And like what you said, ask. It's okay to ask for help. That's not a failure. I believe in that.
Never. I think, as we said, I think it's that's growth. That's the
Yes, that's
first step.
growth. And without growth, um, how did you improve?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, without growth, without these failures that you're working on, without you working on your self doubt, how are you moving forward? How are you a better person? So you need that. Sometimes you need that self doubt, what you said, or poor self confidence, in order to be better in the long run. Love it. Thank you. Andrew, so another big part of our podcast, my podcast, is resilience, because I believe that there's no one here on earth, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're a man or woman, who do not go through challenges and trials in their life. It could be a huge defining moment, could be a tiny one. Defining moments vary from person to person. So resilience is essential, Andrew, in navigating life's emotional challenges. Your coaching reflects a deep ability to guide clients through tough emotional landscapes, helping them develop resilience. Andrew, how do you help your clients cultivate resilience or build their resilience? And how has your personal journey shaped your approach to this?
Okay, so within coaching, we'll probably delve back into sort of previous experiences that you've had. And as you said, everyone is completely unique and different. Everyone's had different experiences. So, sorry, we'll delve back into experiences that you've had where you've had to show resilience in the past. I think everyone will have had some sort of experience like that. And what we'll do is we'll take your strengths from that and how we'll apply them going forward. So, with each client, their strengths will be different, and the goals that they want to achieve will be different as well. So, how we
Yeah.
can apply those, and where we're not necessarily meeting all the strengths we need, again, as we've already spoken, who else can help you here? What resources do you have available? Who else has already done this that we can approach, and we can actually get the knowledge to get you to where you need to go. And as you sort of said, where how have I got to this point? to sort of ask these questions. I look back, it does stem straight back to my childhood again, which wasn't a story I was planning to tell, but it was actually just I struggled to learn to ride a bike very early on.
Okay.
Without getting too deep, my dad wasn't around for a large part of my upbringing, and my mum wasn't very much going to be very hands on with the sporty side.
Okay.
So I was actually having to teach myself to ride a bike, and it was just me going up and down a hill trying to learn it,
Oh,
getting nowhere.
love it.
And it was very much sort of I got to a point where I was like, I'm just not going to do this. I was getting up, falling over, getting up, falling over. And it was only when I took the time to sort of walk away from the situation and be like, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Why am I not asking other people how are they doing it? You know, I convinced myself I can do this. I've been
Right.
told so many times you can do anything by yourself. So why is that not working? And going forward in my life, I think I've always looked back to that experience because I always look back thinking I was trying to do the same thing, banging my head against the wall until I was asking the wrong questions. And I took the time to step out of the situation and start asking different questions.
Yes.
And I think everyone has that experience, not necessarily riding a bike, but definitely experience where they feel that they're getting nowhere. And I think someone, if not themselves, can ask them the right question to spark that light bulb to get you where you need to go.
Love it. Love it. And sometimes when it's hard for you to find your resilience, look back at how you manage your life. Like that simple story that you shared is who you are right now. You started building your resilience from that moment because like what you and I said, everybody has some form of challenge in their life and it's how you overcome it that matters. And I love your story. Thank you. It kind of reminded me with another guest that I had, maybe two guests before you. He was an international basketball player. And you know how he built his resilience? He was 4 years old, trying to shoot the ball using like an adult. I don't know like how to say like basketball stuff, like an adult court. At
Okay.
4 years old,
Yeah.
he just started throwing, shooting the basket, the basket. Sorry, I'm not like so
It's okay.
sporty until he finally like got himself to a place wherein he kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and at 19 years old he became an international basketball player. Shout out to Dwayne Morton. I'm gonna tag you on this
Yeah.
post because just like my friend Andrew here, you both showed your resilience or developed your resilience at such a young age, and that is truly powerful. And I like what you said that before you coach, you ask yourself, what are your challenges right now? What is it that's bothering you right now? Because it's from that maybe sharing or challenge that they share with you, then you kind of know how to like support them, right?
Yes, completely. Like
Yeah.
I like to think that anyone that I work with, or and that can be my clients or just my friends or anyone I'm speaking with, if you're having a problem, you would have tried everything that you can think of up
Yes.
until that point
Yes.
before coming to me. So
Yes.
what is stopping you? Like sometimes it's yourself, sometimes it is just a lack of knowledge. It can be anything. But
Or your self doubt that you're saying.
yes,
Yes.
indeed. Like if it's yourself, it can be someone's again that protective voice. It doesn't sound like a protector, but it's telling you you can't go any further. Don't do that. It's gonna hurt. But that's just like your body's natural instinct to not the unknown. So that's where we need to work together to get you over that. Get that voice
Yes.
start telling you the right thing, saying like you can do this. You are good enough. You are gonna get to where you need to go.
And can I step that up? I have this keynote talk wherein I talk about um, you have the skills. Everybody has the skills. And don't forget that God, whoever high power you believe in, gave you that skills. It's in you. If you have to dig deep, go dig deep. I don't believe that we don't have the tools that we need. Sometimes you just forget and fail to because you're just so into like the chaos of the world right now that you forget that hey, I have it. I can
Mhm.
do this. You
Yes.
know, like I'm not alone after all. And sometimes we need reminder from others, and sometimes you just need to like go on self-reflection, meditate, or just go on like an inward journey to find who you are as a person. Easy for others, but hard for some. That's why they might need support. But I don't believe that anyone has no tools in order to fight whatever challenges they have. Sometimes you just have to learn it. Open a book, go on YouTube. If you're struggling with something like really a skill, social media has a lot of resources. You know what I mean? All
Yes,
you need to do is find out what am I really struggling with.
yes, I completely agree. And times have changed so quickly because gone are the days where you need to go to a library and open up multiple books to find out something. It's at our fingertips when it comes to skills. And again, I completely agree with you. Like, if you don't feel like you can do that yourself, your network, your group, someone will have at least looked this up or know someone that's looked it up, and they can help you as well. I'm still yet to meet someone, if you actually ask them genuinely for help, that they'll actually point blank tell you no. And when you think about it, that's the worst they can say. Like, they're not the only person that's going to have that skill or knowledge.
Yes,
There's so many. So I'm always willing to help people. If you come to me and ask
I
for
love
something, if
that.
it's not something that I can do, which I don't know everything, but I'm sure that I can ask my network and ask
Right,
who knows.
right.
Like, it's always about sharing and helping knowledge wise.
And I want to reflect on what you said. Like you might not know it because nobody knows everything. Let's face it. Not even the highest person in power know everything what they're doing. You just have to say, wait, I'll find it out for you. You know what I mean? I'll talk to, like you said, your community or research, and then you can come back to them. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody knows everything in life. So it's okay to say, I'm weak at this one. I need help with this one. And just ask for help if you can't ask for help. And we are so lucky, our generation, that we have everything in front of us. Just a push of a button, open the camera, open your internet. Everything is there. You can actually speak with someone. You don't have to go to uh, an office to talk to a doctor, to a coach. Every there is right, right there for you. Easy. Unlike before that everything was a big deal. You have to go literally to a library to learn. They have like literally open like a dictionary, encyclopedia. I don't know if you're young enough to do that, but before we had encyclopedia. You don't know how old I am. We we were using encyclopedia to search for reference, to search for context. Now not anymore. Like I remember doing my thesis in college by going to a national public library because you know what I mean local libraries back then didn't have enough. That's it was so hard before, but now everything is there out for you. Just be open. Just be open to learn and make that change, right?
Yeah. As I said, the first step's always the hardest, but once you get
Yes.
over it,
Yeah.
the
And
world's
you
your
will.
oyster.
You will just be open to your weakness. This is, I need help with this one. All right. So, another big topic on my podcast, Andrew, talks about authenticity. I love that word, authenticity. Authenticity for me is crucial. All right. So, authenticity is crucial for personal transformation and growth. As a coach, I'm sure you believe in that. Your work helps clients embrace their true selves and unlock their potential. Andy, what role does authenticity play in personal transformation? And perhaps share, how do you help your clients align their actions with their true selves?
Yes, I completely think that if you're not authentic to yourself, then eventually that will show in everything you do. I think when you start building the foundations of the life that you want, if that's not the right foundation and you're not authentic to your own values, sooner or later that foundation will bring everything down. And I think that's why you see a lot of people in certain industries leaving. I think it's
Yes.
a lot of time when you see that you may be trying to imitate someone that you're not, and that's not
Yes.
aligning with your values. And there's a very distinct difference between like beliefs and values, and sometimes your beliefs may not align with your values, and you'll see that that's what will bring you down with what you try to achieve. So as I said, when I'm working with my clients, we will start with the challenges, but I'll probably actually dedicate maybe a session just actually getting really deep into what your values are and how they align with where your life is now, and then how they align with the life that you want. Because it's very easy to sort of come in and say, okay, I can't public speak now and I want to go and public speak in front of 10,000 people. But if your values don't align with that person, then I'm not saying that's not possible, but we need to know what is it behind that. What is it behind speaking in front of 10,000 people? How is that aligning? And so we can keep you on that track. Otherwise, we won't get to where we need to go. So yes, we'll work on the beliefs versus your values, making sure they're aligned, and that's your foundation of then building that confidence of where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And then we'll work on the goals that we set, and it won't just be jumping from one step to the end. We're going to start by just building one step, two step until we get to where we need to go, and building that confidence along the way. So you have all of that past experience to draw on each time, because at the end, if I've done my job correctly, is that you should be able to go and do whatever you want, utilizing that confidence from the past. You shouldn't need to come back to me and go through this again. You should be able to draw on all of those experiences for anything you want to do going forward.
And wait, Andrew. So I had the guest before you was Andrew, but his nickname was Andy. Sorry if I keep calling you Andy. So Andrew, when somebody calls someone authentic, like I've been called authentic, I feel I'm authentic. You know why? Because I've embraced the ugly part of me. I've embraced my weaknesses. I've embraced my challenges in life. And one thing unique about my podcast, my channel, Andy, I speak from my heart. I speak about like I said, my weaknesses. You'll hear me talk about the lowest point of my life, the most embarrassing part of my life, or things that was hard for me, my struggles. It's because I want people to know that that is how you find your true self. When you're able to say, I am like this, I'm not controlling, I'm just saying, like if I'm controlling, I'm negative, I'm like this. When you can honestly, truly accept your weaknesses, what you're not good at, and use it to become better, that's how you become authentic. And as long as, yes, my podcast has a lot of storytelling, like sharing. As long as I keep my kids safe, you know what I mean? I don't like, like make sure that it's not something that will hurt their feelings, or it's not aligned to who we are as a family, then I don't hold back, because I feel that eventually one or two will resonate with your episode, and will know that, hey, I went through that too. Hey, I'm like that too. If we're not open to sharing what we went through in life, then how are you helping others? You know what? Like I'm
Great.
right.
Yes, I completely agree. I think what you also need to accept is that for the good experiences and the bad experiences, they bring you to who you are today.
Yes,
I think it's very easy to sort of look back and be like, oh, I wish this didn't happen, or I wish that didn't happen. But they form the person, the character that you are.
I love
And
it.
I think when you say it, like as a coach, like this is something that I'm very
Yeah,
passionate
coach
about.
me.
Like it's when you sort of say about the negative aspects, like I think it's very easy to sort of say like, oh, this part of my personality is negative. I very
Yes,
much like to do a lot of reframing on that. I think it's very
I love
easy,
that.
like,
Okay.
but they are your character, and I think you need to start by accepting that you as yourself are a beautiful person. I think it's very
Yes.
easy, because I think if you were listening to the way you talk about yourself, you would never talk about your friend, your family like that. So why is it okay to talk about yourself like that?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
But
And
yes,
honestly, you can fix up, you can put makeup on, you can fix your hair, you can wear the fanciest clothes. But if you're not true to who you are as a person, people will see through you, especially if you're like me as a speaker or as a podcaster, as a coach. You know what I mean? Like you and I play a big role now, because we actually are trying to help people. So if we are not if we don't go through life, real life, how are we ever going to coach people if our life is so perfect, right? So I think it's important, with what we're doing right now, especially like me, I'm on all over the social media, to just be authentic and just be true to yourself, because people will see through you. And honestly, if there's still people who are so negative and, might comment negatively on you, who cares? You know who you are, and maybe that person don't know who they are yet. And they're using their self projection to put people down. I'm very fortunate that I haven't encountered a lot of that, and I think that for this past 6 months, I've really put myself out there through what I'm doing. I'm podcasting. I have live shows weekly, stream on many different social media. When I say I post every day, I post every day on 5 social media pages, because I want to be present. I want to be present. That's how I show. Uh, that's how I empower people, by being present all the time. And like I said, you just have, people will know who you are. So the words that you use, the actions that you do matters, when it comes to showing your authenticity. I like
Yes,
that.
and I love that. And hopefully, I mean, I think unfortunately, when it comes to the realms of the internet, everyone has a voice, and there are going to be some negative. But I completely agree with you, because if you can look on it, and this goes back to what you said and how it aligns to your values, as long
Yes.
as someone is actually getting the benefits of what you have to say, then you have to just turn that off. Any of that
Yes.
negativity, you need to let that go and leave it behind you. And although I know some people say that I'm very confident at doing that, but it's a lot harder than it seems.
Yes, we have to show that we're confident, but at the same time, accept that I don't know this. I'll find your answer. You know what I mean?
Completely
Right?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know part of your coaching, because I know like your background is like, um the industry. I mean, I salute you. Congratulate those companies you work with. Amazing. Those are like, people only would dream to be in those companies, and you actually have been there. So let's when I talk about authenticity, I'll talk about leadership.
Yeah.
Okay, so your experience, your thoughts really resonated with me, because I remember the early days of my career when I was starting to step into leadership roles. I opened schools in the Philippines, but it's not easy. I struggled with the idea of staying authentic, because I was kind of afraid of people wouldn't accept me for who I truly was. Like when you are young, you want to be like, I'm good. Like I can do anything. Like like you still have that mentality. But over time, I realized that when I embrace my true self as a leader, even in the most difficult situation, it really allowed me to connect on a deeper level with my team. So I'm talking about even me as a teacher, or even me as a leader in the schools. Just be your true self. You might get some negative um, reaction or feedback, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to like agree with you. Leadership is not about being perfect. It's about being real and true to your values, like you and I keep talking about. And when I started connecting with my staff in a way that was genuine and vulnerable, it really built the trust and gave everyone a sense of ownership in our shared success. So I believe that whoever you are, you can be a leader first, and second, just be true to yourself. And that's how you're gonna be um, effective as a leader. You know, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think when I can speak from my experiences working for those organisations within HSBC, Lloyds, even Goldman Sachs to a point, is when things are going wrong, you look to your leaders, and
Yes.
and in those situations, it's not necessarily that you're looking for the answer. You might be, because things are going wrong, but what you don't want is to be lied to or fobbed off,
Yes.
or made out to be that you're worrying over nothing. Some of the best leaders I can think of, and those are the ones that I still stay in contact with, are the ones that are open and honest with you. And the honesty, sometimes it just comes in the form of, I don't know. I
Yes.
don't know that right now. I'm going to go away and find out. But it's never some of it was just like, oh, you'll find out soon. I'm like, and I think it's just sometimes for them, it's I don't know the answer, but I don't want to be
Right.
seen to not know the
Yes.
answer, and that's scary. And I think from their point of view, it's scary as well because I think they feel a responsibility to know all the answers, and I think that's where leadership can get lost for a lot
Right.
of people. And when I've gone on to lead teams, I I think and I do thank all of the role models that I've had, even the people that I've said that I feel were giving bad leadership, because if I wouldn't have had them, I wouldn't have had the experience to know that's something I wouldn't want to do in that position. So when I was leading teams that were out in India, they would be asking me questions about work, about anything that's coming up, training opportunities, unfortunately at times redundancies. And I would have to tell them this isn't information that I've been given, but I will bring it up in the next meeting. I will get back to you in a timely manner. And those little things that for me should be standard leadership is unfortunately, I think we're so much better now in terms of that
Yes.
training is happening and coaching is becoming a bigger thing within the organizations. But it would be surprising to you that I still speak to a lot of people when they're telling me the same things that I was facing 10 years ago is happening at a leadership level now, which just baffles me.
Yeah, that's why your coaching is so important, where you're centering it on building self-confidence and self-doubt, because like what you said, it's sad when the leaders nowadays, oh my god, like even ones leading our country, do not have a clue on what their people actually really need and really want, because they themselves are so blocked for change and the idea that, hey, I am vulnerable, I can, things can happen to me. Like they still have this, like what you said, there are still these leaders who are just like, they feel that if they're powerful, they know everything, that's their true leadership. No, it's not. First thing you need to do is listen. Simply listen to your staff or to your people, really sharing what their difficulties are, what their problems are. That's big. If you are able to listen, even if you don't know the answer yet, try to make them feel that I am here for you. Yeah, and then go and tell them that, okay, I'll, give me who are the people involved, find out what really happened, problem solve before giving your help. You know what I mean? Sometimes it doesn't. You can't give an answer right away when somebody approaches you. You have to research, you have to like find out what happened, talk to the people involved, and then maybe you can talk to them after you've gathered everything. So like what you said, you don't need to know everything right away, but at least listen. That's big. Don't like push me away, because at that moment when I'm going to a leader, that means I'm at my lowest of the low. I am hurting, I am failing. I need you to like acknowledge that I'm here. And that's
Yes.
what I'm.
I completely agree with you, and it goes back to two of the points from the podcast that you've already made as well. It's the listening, but listening with intentionality,
Yes, yes.
and also the authenticity of that person. Like when you're telling someone and you're bearing your vulnerability, you'll know if they're being authentically listened to or not. And that's what hurts the most if you're not. If you're willing to be vulnerable and tell them your problems, and you can see that they're not completely listening 100%, and they're not with you, then that's where you've lost that person.
Right. And to be honest, I've worked with many principal because I've been in the school industry, and I don't care if you're the smartest principal. I don't care if you're the most fluent, but if you don't have a heart, if you're not empathetic, you don't care about your staff, like literally come to my room and just say, "Hey, how are you?" Like, you know what I mean? Like really go out of their way to get to know their staff. You're not my leader. I'm sorry. Like I said, you may have dual degrees or a doctorate degree, but if you cannot connect with your people
Mhm.
because you lack that authenticity. You're not true to yourself. All you think about is power. People working for you, not perfect people working with you. No, I don't want to be that. I don't want to work with that leader. And I just feel that leadership nowadays has come into a different. light, a different style. And if you want success, you really need to search on the best way to lead now, because we are now dealing with individuals who, like what you said, we're building authenticity, we're building intentionality. These are huge now in whatever industry you go to, in whatever field. And if your leader is still stuck with their ways when it comes to leadership, then the entire industry is going to be affected, the entire community is going to be affected, because nowadays people want real answers, real solutions to their problem. And that's what true leadership is. If you can simply listen and be empathetic and keep learning in order for you to lead. That's
Yes.
what leadership is for me.
I mean, I think all leaders should be starting with this one question to each member of their staff, which is, how would you like me to lead you?
Yes. Yes.
Because as I've said throughout, everyone's unique, and some people will want one thing, some people want another, and now it's not about just a generic sitting at the top telling people what to do. You need to work with these individuals to cultivate their best self. And that's
Yes.
what the leadership is. Like, you are the gardener, and you need to cultivate each individual to grow into the best plant that they can be.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. And let's now I'm gonna move on to the second the next question, which ties up with leadership or you trying. Let's talk about, for me, when you want to lead, you want to make an impact. You want to change lives. You want to make an impact. I can be a leader as a teacher, making an impact to my students, or I can be a principal, making an impact to the school, or I can be a CEO, president of a company, making an impact. Now, let's talk about one way to make an impact. You are big with volunteering.
Yeah.
Andrew, and I love that. I love that. If somebody can go out of their way from their busy schedule, even the smallest way to volunteer, that's big for me. So Andrew, sorry,
Right.
how, I gave you a pet name, I'm sorry. How was volunteering and maybe talk about like how are the ways you were volunteering influence your personal and professional growth, and what advice do you have for others looking to create meaningful change in their family or in their communities? Can you share that with us?
Sure. So I could talk about that, but I'll just quickly start to just say that volunteering's just had such a profound impact on my life. And I don't mean for me volunteering. I mean, I don't think I would be the person I would be now if it wasn't for volunteers while I was
Yes.
growing up. So some of my first role models were volunteers that were just doing summer schools. And
Okay.
I remember looking up to them and being like, oh, how do I get to do what you're doing? And they were telling me, oh, well, I'm just doing this through my university. Growing up, I didn't even think university was an option for me. I've been told, but for me, I didn't know if it was a possibility or what I'd need to do. And so those are very early memories of people volunteering and changing my life and making a positive impact on me. So go flash forward to when I went to university. I was also doing some volunteering there, going into schools and doing coaching and coaching kids in football to kind of keep them off the streets. So I've always looked on that, knowing when I was growing up and that impact
Yes.
that it had on me. If I can even do a fraction of that to someone else, then that's the intentionality that I want for the world. And so I would recommend that to everyone. It doesn't need to be necessarily with kids. Like, I like to try and do something for any sort of charity every year, and be that to give back. But this year I've actually been very intentional with my goals. So I'm doing a lot of going into schools and volunteering with kids for the whole year. I've decided that that's what I'm going to be doing for the full year. And I think it's important because like I think of it for myself growing up, as I already said. But if I wouldn't have had those role models, I don't know what necessarily would have happened. I don't know. I can probably actually say that I wouldn't be on this podcast with you now.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does, and I think that. it also improves yourself. Like I think it's very easy to look at volunteering as you're giving up your time, but actually
Mhm.
it's not. I think there's still an exchange. It's just that you're not viewing it as maybe like a monetary exchange. Like you
Yes.
gain so many different experiences, and I use so many of them because I think you can think about maybe how you deal with maybe difficult people in a workplace scenario, and you maybe you have to get on. But when you're dealing with difficult people in a volunteering scenario, how are you going to conduct yourself? Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can look back on your resilience and be like, okay, I'm just going to bin and grare this. But I think when you're volunteering specifically with kids as an example, is that they're not doing it out of any sort of malice towards you. They don't most of the time they don't know you, but there's something to unpack there. And I think having that inner voice to actually tell you to just sort of take a step back and look outside the
Yes.
box and ask the right questions. And I think that ability is essential because I think once you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in
Right.
your day to day life. You can do it in your home life. You can do it while you're at work.
Yes.
Why is this person not presenting themselves in the way that you want them to be? And as soon as you can sort of take yourself out of that situation, I think of the word conflict, and I was looking it up just the other week actually, and conflict can't exist without cooperation.
Yes.
So if you can take yourself out of that, then there's nothing. And as soon as you can do that and you can ask the right questions, I think you'll be the go-to for any situation.
And when you talk about volunteering,
Hmm.
um, like what you said, it doesn't have to be big. It can be like as a child, like as a student, you're helping somebody, tutoring them because they don't know how, they're not good in math, or it could be just staying 10 minutes after school just to, like as a teacher, to help those students who are struggling out of your time, not getting paid. That could be volunteering. And when I talk about these volunteering work, I think about another aspect of my podcast, which is gratitude. Just thanking where I am, who I am, and we're volunteering because they need more. They need our help. Maybe they're lesser fortunate when it comes to finances or the skills they need. And just being grateful that we can offer help and that we are the ones offering help and not asking for help. So I tie it with gratitude. You know what I mean? When you volunteer, it's because you know you're grateful that who you are, what you have, and what you can offer. That's why you're doing this. And Andrew, I want to talk about. I live in Florida. I've lived in New York for like 20 something years, but now I'm in Florida. So in Florida, we deal with so today 2025, last 2024, we had life-changing hurricanes back to back within 2 weeks in Florida, where I am,
Hmm.
right? Um, it caused devastating losses. Andrew, homes were flooded, like flooded. It wasn't even homes that were close to the ocean. It was like in the middle of the community. Um, there were people lost their lives in an instant. They lost memories, they lost things that value to them. People lost their power. I lost mine for weeks, some for months. Although I there was an inconvenience on my side because I lost power and most of my work is work from home online. I still find myself grateful. I found myself grateful. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even complain. Yes, I had to throw out food from my freezer and my fridge and had to like start from buying like even the condiments again. But that didn't even bother me because when I looked at the community that were that were affected, all I could feel was like thank you that I wasn't really affected, but at the same time, how can I help them? Like in my own way. I'm not even 5 feet. I'm small. I'm tiny. I lost my husband 2023, so I'm alone. But I looked for ways to help the community. So here is tiny me. I searched. I searched on Facebook for those communities that were greatly affected. I connected myself with this group, and the first hurricane, Andrew, I went to this place that was badly hit. It was an hour drive. Didn't know what to expect. I've never done this in my life. This huge for me, stepping out of my comfort zone when it comes to volunteering. Um, I saw blocks and blocks of communities, all their stuff were outside because of the flood. Okay, you could tell by their faces how anxious, stressed, and sad they were. I just went in one of the homes and offered my help. Didn't know them, they didn't know me. They just the smile that they gave me, that yes, 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 come in, please help me. And I literally, tiny me, carrying stuff, then take it out like in the middle of the road, like what do you call that, like the drive,
Yeah,
not the driveway, the walkway.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care what to expect. I didn't care who the people were. I was just there to help, to assist. And just after that, like the way they're like, I can't offer you anything, I don't have food, I don't have this, but I just want to say thank you. That meant a lot. When they said thank you, that meant a lot for me. The second one was also within 2 weeks, Andrew. There was another that hit the same place, which is Tampa. Okay, I mean, so what did I do? Again, I'm a teacher. So I found out that there was this school badly hit. So I went to this school. I brought my contractor bags. I brought my shovel, my leaf blower, and I went there for hours and cleaned up the place. Make sure that it's safe for the students to return. And you know what? It just really made me realize how grateful I was that nothing really happened to me. And I don't blame it. I don't put them down that it happened to them. I feel that it's just tragedy. You can't blame people when it's tragedy. It's gonna hit you. Tragedy hits you, calamity will hit you, rich or poor. So that's my way of like giving back to the community. Sometimes it could be as small as tutoring someone, like a student of mine, or big as really getting out of my comfort zone and making an impact. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, because people don't know that you're more impactful when you're actually make doing action. Like, you know what I mean? Like, action
yes.
speaks louder than words.
Yes, I completely agree. And I want to echo your words as well, that anyone that's listening, if you can volunteer, and as you said, it doesn't need to necessarily be anything big, but for some of these people, it's just being an ear to listen to, because some people maybe aren't fortunate enough to even have people that will listen to them, and that's hard. That's hard for me to even think of, and that's what I was resonating with when you were talking about gratitude, because I think we should be very thankful that we're in the circumstance that anyone is listening to what we have to say, and to think that there's people that feel that no one will listen to them is very sort of, it touches home with me immensely. So if I can be that person that will give my time and listen to what they have to say, then I'm happy to give my time.
And can I add to that?
Yes.
Which is really, really like breaking my heart and hurting me as a person. When I know that a community is already going through that pain, that struggle of getting hit. Um, a month ago, oh, this month, California, I don't know if you know, was hit with wildfires. Okay. And they featured a community that's like high class, high end, the rich, but they don't know that it also affected others,
Mm-hmm.
regular. But it doesn't matter. You got affected. And you know what breaks my heart, really breaks my heart, is social media is so powerful. That's where I get information. Like, I want to be up to date. I want to be I know I need to know what's going on. That's just me. But you know what breaks me my heart the most is the negativity of people. Like, if you have nothing nice to say, just keep your mouth closed. You know what I mean? You don't say ill things on others who are already suffering. It doesn't matter if they're rich. They were still affected. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wishes negativity on others. So, like, I have this weekly live show, Andrew. It talks about Candice Ruggiero Love Speaks. I talk about love, embracing others, uplifting others, and showing global compassion. And I did one episode wherein I was really like giving my opinion on how, why are you cruel? Why are you negative with your words? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I was specifically talking about that wildfire because it's just so heartbreaking how people are so judgmental. Are you, if you are jealous, people have these material things, you know what? Sometimes they worked hard for it. You don't know what they went through in life.
Hmm.
Some of these actors or actresses who lost their lives have been working hard since they were young. So let's not put anyone down, no matter who they are, what their status in life. Have compassion, have empathy. And I just wanted to mention that because we're talking about the volunteering.
Yeah.
Like, if you do not know how to, you do not want or have the means to volunteer, at least say some prayer, send good thoughts, or don't say anything negative at all.
Yes.
That's big on me. It's disgusting. It's
Yes.
disgusting how the
I,
world is.
I completely agree with you. And you know, I don't want to speak ill of anyone forming any sort of opinions, but
Yes.
if you feel that you want to put out that negativity, I would just encourage those people to maybe speak to someone before. It's very easy to just sort of type something, and then you can be living in regret at that point because you can't
Right.
take it back. Once it's in the internet, in the ether, you can't take that back.
You can.
And I think that's the difference, and what the internet's brought to the situation is things that you necessarily wouldn't have said out loud before, you're now given a voice because you think you're anonymous, but most of the time you're not. And I don't think that's fair on a lot of people at all. And yeah, I feel for the people that are all suffering with the fires. One of my friends, thankfully, she's fine, but she was evacuated from her
She
home.
was in California too.
Yes, she's a nurse at a hospital nearby, but I think everything's okay. I need to speak to her. I'm gonna ring her after this now.
You know what? They were given not even hours
Mhm.
when they, most of them, when they were given the warning to leave. What, like, if that was given to you, that warning, what will I do first? What am I gonna bring with me? Like, and you can't blame yourself. Like, everything is valuable for me.
Yes,
My kids' albums, like birth certificates. But in that moment of like you're limited, you can't. So just find it in your heart to like just be nice.
yeah,
Just
completely.
be nice. Why can't people just be nice? I'm sorry. I'm very like passionate with that because it's just heartbreaking.
Mhm.
Heartbreaking for me. And I don't care if I speak about it on my weekly thing because it's something that people take for granted. Kindness. They take kindness for granted when it's free and it's powerful and it's so sad. All right. So, Andy, I hate to end this because I'm having such a wonderful conversation with you. There's this question that I always ask my guest. If there is a concept, a quote, or topic that you would leave behind for the audience, what would it be, and why do you believe it's important?
I mean, I think we've touched on
Yes,
quite a lot of,
a
of
lot,
things
a
that I
lot.
would like.
How do you want them to remember you, like
Yeah,
someday?
so I wouldn't want to just leave one thing. I'd love for all of your community to just listen to this over and over because it's been a beautiful conversation. But
Yes.
I have a few quotes in my office that I kind of look on to just keep me grounded myself. Um, one's from Jim Rohn, actually. I think it's your life does not get better by chance; it gets better by change. And Jim Rohn has a lot of amazing quotes. I've read quite a few, but that one resonates with me a lot because I think I took it on board when I decided to go for my coaching diploma. So I'd done all of my coaching through the industry, but it wasn't until I decided to get qualified because I was like, I can do this.
Yes.
But once I decided to get qualified, I started just asking myself so many more questions. And that's like might sound counterintuitive, but it's all about asking questions because we're not the finished product at any stage. Like growth is from start to finish. Like we're always growing, we're always changing. And I think it's about not being scared of that change or the growth. Like finish the journey that you're on now. So I would leave that quote with you and maybe what that means to you, because I think it's going to mean something different for everyone.
I just love that quote so much. I would ask you again after our podcast to give me that quote so that I can focus our whole conversation on it.
Sure.
Can you say that quote again? I just want to
Yeah, sure.
quickly reflect on it.
Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change.
You're wrapping up with the powerful conversation we have. I feel like everything we talked about, the intentionality, the authenticity, the building your resilience, and the volunteering ties down with that quote. You know what I mean? Like, just think about it. Like, if you are able to work around these things that I mentioned, you're being intentional, you're finding your true selves, to become authentic. We talked about like having that impact by volunteering. Then that means change. You're open to change, and that's one thing that people need to accept. The change is inevitable. To improve yourself as a person, to improve ourselves as community members or a nation, citizens of like a powerful country, or like just existing in this world, we need to accept change. Change is something we cannot turn our backs on. And I want to thank you for that quote. It's really something powerful and something that people need to know. Change is okay. Change is good.
Yes.
Change is all right.
I,
Have that growth mindset. And I will, like I said, ask that from you afterwards. Andrew, a incredible conversation. Where can our audience find you, learn more about your work, or connect with you? I will get all your links
yeah.
later on, but like right
Yes.
now while they're listening,
Yes.
how can
I'll
they
share
find you?
all the links with you. So my website. I was just on a call with my designer yesterday. So hopefully the website should be up and running in the next 2 weeks, and that will
Okay.
be
I'm gonna put like check back in 2 weeks, but at least it's in the link so they
yeah,
can keep
which
back.
is intrinsic-confidence.com, which or you can reach out to me, Andrew-S.Williams on LinkedIn. So I've earmarked that as my single profile, and you're more than willing to be invited to the community page that I have on LinkedIn, and there should be a new one on Facebook soon. And
Okay.
if you want to just come to me direct, you can reach me at andrew@intrinsic-confidence.com. And I'll share all of those with you so you can share that with your community on the podcast as well.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. Any other parting words? Are you any other parting words?
I mean, again, as I sort of said, uh, please re-listen to this podcast and take it all in. And
Yes.
if anyone wants to obviously continue the conversation, then I'm happy to reach out and talk more.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Andrew. You have been an amazing choice to end my series. I've met so many wonderful men making a difference, and every guest that I have really made an impact. Love your mission, love your thoughts, love your what you're trying to build, your community, and I just want to simply honor you for all the accomplishments that you've experienced, and thank you for being a guest in my podcast.
Thank you, and thank you for the invite. It's been an absolute
Yes,
pleasure. Very
thank you.
grateful.
So, to our audience, thank you again for joining us for this powerful episode and for being part of our purpose driven men making a difference series. And for the next month in February, I know this is February, but I'm going to include this for January. I have an exciting series which I'm excited to share. And throughout this month, we really met an incredible lineup of guests who have truly made an impact through their life experiences. Thank you to everyone who became part of this series. Thank you, Andrew. If you want to connect with me, my website is www.candiceruggiero.com. My social media, connect with me, linktree/Candice Ruggiero. Until the next time, remember, live with purpose, lead with intention, and elevate your life. See you. Have a good night, Andrew, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.